Today we get the pleasure of having someone who is a lifetime homesteader, over 6 decades of experience, and I'm super excited to have him here because he's not only an amazing homesteader, I get to call him Dad. So he is specifically a urban homesteader, and so he is going to be teaching us all about what it's like to homestead inside of the city. Yes, with the homeowners association. Yes, with buildings around, trees around. He's going to teach us everything he does. Plus, he's got a secret ingredient for his homestead. So this is a part of a 7-episode series. So make sure that you stick around. So what better way to talk about homesteading than to be with the guy who got me into homesteading? He is one of the 2 people, the other being my grandfather who's passed away, the 2 people who got me into homesteading. This is my dad. Everyone else say, hey, Dad. And I'm really excited that he's here. He has such a unique take on homesteading that a lot of people don't understand. And so I just kind of want to talk about how he got into homesteading, then back that up with his homestead specifically, because he does urban homesteading, which is very different than what we're doing here. And then he's got a really cool niche, something he's really good at. He's not going to brag about it, but stay here for our chapter 3 because we're going to talk about his secret gift to his garden. He's got something that makes his garden spectacular every single year. So make sure that you stick around because he's got great information on. I can't even going to give it away. It's just super cool because I've tried it and I can't do it, but he's got it and he's going to teach us how to do it. So I hope you're excited as we are. So I wanted to first talk about, so Dad, how did you get into homesteading? Talk to us about, why you homestead and, why you do what you do.
I grew up in South Georgia on a farm. And so we didn't call it homesteading back then, but in essence, we were homesteading. If we didn't grow it, we didn't eat it. And that pretty well was true in terms of plants, vegetables, that kind of thing, but it was also true in terms of meat and that kind of thing. So I grew up doing that. We always had something growing, something to take care of, something to feed in terms of some type of animal life. That was true year-round. But in terms of gardening, we always had a garden, and part of my responsibility, even growing up, was to be busy in the garden doing something. So as I grew up, became an adult, then I had a family of my own, I've had a garden pretty much every year. And now as I'm getting not old, but older, at age 66, I'm still gardening. I'm just doing it in a different setting, in a different way, because I'm not in a farming community. I actually live in a subdivision, and so I have to be kind of creative on how to get that done. So there's a few times that I don't get out in the garden that the Lord and I are not talking to each other, and I'm marveling at Him. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I ask Him sometimes, do I really understand what I'm doing? Because I don't.
I ask myself that a lot.
And then I listen and to see if I hear or have a thought that makes me think, well, I need to explore that, or, oh, that would work better. And you can say what you want to, but it's part of my faith journey. It's what I'm trying to say to you. I grow in the garden. So some people, they do one thing to relax. Me, I go out and garden, and I have a blast. I get so tired at it at times. I just wear myself out, but that's okay because, when somebody says, oh, I bet you go work out at the gym. Well, I can if I name one of my raised beds gym. I can name part of my garden gym or aerobics or whatever I want to, but the reality is I get my exercise in the garden, and that's where I'm most relaxed. So that's my origin of how I got to where I am today. Does that help some?
Yeah.
Kind of sets
No,
the
that's
stage?
great. That's great. That sets the stage. So you have a urban homestead, meaning that you grow in suburban Atlanta. So you live inside of a subdivision. There is a homeowners association there. So you have, I get asked, and one of the top questions that I get asked is, how specifically can I homestead when I live inside of the city? And I think you're a prime example of what can be done when you're inside of the city. And so some of this is a definite ask for forgiveness, not for permission. I think it's kind of a little bit of a subtext that's going to happen here. But talk to me about what did you grow this year? Before we talk about how you did it, tell me all the things that you grew this year in your homestead.
I started out with some of the early spring things like snow peas and what we call English peas. Maybe some like turnips, radishes, some of the early things like that.
Yeah.
I started with onions. From that, I moved into pole beans and grew a lot of pole beans. I did some yellow squash, but unfortunately in the Atlanta area, we are having a time with the squash bug. So I didn't get much productivity out of that. However, in searching for alternative varieties of squash, I have found an Italian squash that'll grow, if you let it run its course, it'll probably it'll grow 4 or 5 feet long, has a kind of a bell shape to it. And the incredible thing about it is, should an insect try to get in that bug or try to get in that squash fruit, it'll reseal itself. In fact, if you slice across it, maybe you're not going to use the whole squash in the dish that you're cooking, it'll actually reseal itself. It's the only squash I've ever found that would do that. I've had what do they call them? Python snake beans.
Yeah, we've tried the pythons.
I've tried those, and kind of mixed reviews, that kind of thing. I did Mississippi purple hull peas this year. Just grew a few of them just to eat on. Outstanding. Butter peas. I grew some butter peas, and I grew, I don't know, probably 8, 10, 15 varieties of tomatoes. Sweet potatoes. I had an incredible crop of sweet potatoes.
This was a sweet potato year.
Yeah, it was a great
sweet potato year.
Bell peppers, all different varieties and colors of bell pepper. I'm probably forgetting some things here. I'm just hitting.
How much food and poundage a week do you think that you're growing, or we're growing in its peak?
At its peak, I would get like a milk pail full of at least twice a week, maybe, depending on the timing of the year or the season, of pole beans. And I grew a purple pole bean, and then I grew a rattlesnake pole bean. So between the two of them, I could easily get a bucket each. Gosh, I don't know, because I'm pulling in about 15 or 20 tomatoes of medium to large size, and then I'm pulling in from just 2 Sun Gold cherry tomato type.
Those are prolific growers.
They grew.
That's one of our homestead favorites.
I put them on a trellis.
Yeah.
And that trellis, seriously, in the raised bed, it was at the end of a raised bed, that trellis was at least 6.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
They grew all the way to the top of the trellis. Some of them started back down the other side. The others caught a tree branch that was sticking out nearby. So the next thing I know, I've got Sun Gold tomatoes on the end of a limb in the tree. And so I had to actually go find a step stool to help me to get up to harvest those.
Yeah.
And so I did those. I'm trying to think of what else we did. I did a lot of other different varieties of things. Some worked better than others. So that'd give you an idea. Anyway.
Yeah. Super excited that he was here again. This was the intro into a 7-part series. So yes, I do think the history and everything behind of why someone gets into homesteading is important. He's got amazing episode and information coming up. If you want to skip ahead Say you don't want to have to wait, you want to watch everything right now. You can watch the entire hour and a half long conversation by clicking this link right here, and that is going to give you the full unedited hour and a half long episode. If you say, Jonathan, I'm interested in what you've got going on around your homestead, then no worries, I've got you. There is an episode right here already booked for you that's going to give you a grand tour of our homestead and what we've had going on here as of late summer. As always, we have a couple different ways that you can connect with us. There is our Reddit page, and on our Reddit page, Homesteading Chef, you'll be able to be a part of the community. We post all of our videos there. You can ask questions. I do everything I can to stay active in there. That's kind of like our community page. I don't want to have a Patreon. I want to have a free community of homesteaders and like-minded people who are there helping each other. That's what I'm about. I'm about a community. And so I'm really excited about that Reddit community that we're building. And so you'll be able to ask questions there, and we're going to build better together. The next thing, if you want live updates from the Homestead weekly sent to you, make sure that you click the link in the descriptions down below. You'll find a link to our homepage, www.homesteadingchef.com, and that will take you to a webpage that you can sign in your email. We only send it once a week, and it gives you a whole recap of what's going on this week, what we've got going on around the homestead. And it just provides, again, just a little bit of background. And I like to say the word exclusive because exclusive sounds fun, right? So it gives us a exclusive look of what's going on behind the scenes here. I'm really excited about what Homesteading Chef YouTube channel has been doing lately. And that's all because of you, the people. So don't miss out again on this video here and this video here to continue the conversation. We'll see you next time. Be blessed.